So what's happening on college campuses right now in terms of financial stress? What are you finding?
Yeah, well, what we're seeing, and it may surprise you to hear this, perhaps than any of you in the audience, is that actually over 70% of college students experience financial stress while they're in college. And it's a real issue because financial stress ultimately negatively impacts student success. In fact, financial stress is actually one of the top 2 reasons why students will actually drop out of college. And in many cases with student loan debt and actually no degree at all to show for it. So financial stress is a big issue.
So if that is a top issue right now, what are you finding in terms of answers? I mean, what are kids supposed to do if they need help?
Yeah, the primary reasons we see for this actually being an issue are first and foremost, kids just aren't prepared coming out of high school. So most states don't actually require students to take a personal finance course before they graduate high school. And so that doesn't necessarily set them up for success. North Carolina is actually lucky. You actually do have a state mandate that requires high school students, but most other states, quite frankly, don't. So that's really an issue. And really one of the other major issues that contribute to this issue of financial stress is just, college in general, as I'm sure you all can relate to, is actually stressful in itself. I have a son who just recently, finished up with school, and as he and I were talking about it recently, and I was asking him to reflect on, hey, why did you struggle with it? I was on you all the time about it, and he's like, Dad, you know what? You just didn't understand. College was super stressful. I was really focused on trying to get good grades. I'm managing all these different activities. I got social obligations here and there. I just really didn't want to deal with all these other issues around financial stress. I wanted to live in the moment. I really wanted to, be more focused on, making sure that I wasn't going to miss out when my friends were going to go do something. The financial impact of that, that's something for my future self to ultimately deal with. And as I can tell you as a father, I was kind of like, it still kind of pains me, but I actually had a significant amount more empathy for him, and therefore for all of you, for the fact that, hey, financial stress is very real, but it's also difficult to really want to, do something about.
We had that question about lifestyle creep. And I think when you talk about having empathy and then having the positive self-talk as well, I think should people have empathy for themselves, realizing that this is a stressful time financially?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot different now, quite frankly, than in years past, like when we were potentially in school. I mean, the cost of going to college is significantly more, whether it's tuition, whether it's housing, whether it's food, and kudos to the lady over here who knew how much a loaf of bread cost. Good for you, paying attention. And, so it's significantly more expensive to go. So the problem is bigger. And, it's also different because, today's generation, unlike past generations, you're much more focused also on financial wellness, as you should be. And, and the fact is, financial stress also negatively impacts financial health. So it's just different today. It's harder.
But obviously, and especially people that are here, want to figure out how to get on top of this. So what do you do if you are a student? Where do you go and get help?
Yeah, well, in my opinion, it's 2 issues. There's the responsibility of the university, and there's the responsibility of the student. The university has a responsibility to ensure there are programs in place to support students who are having financial stress. It's the student's responsibility, though, to understand when they're in that particular situation so you can take action. So, at least at Intuit, through our Intuit for Education program, we make free resources available to both universities as well as to students in order to kind of help address those issues.
How do you know when to ask for help? I mean, I'll date myself a little or a lot, which is that when I was in college, I ran up my phone bill. You used to have to pay per minute for calling that long distance. It was ridiculous. It was like 25 cents. And my very first phone bill, landline bill, was $350. And that was basically what I had budgeted for a couple of months of stuff. Right. I knew I was in trouble. But is that what does it usually come to a head? that you don't have enough to cover it, or do you need to ask for help earlier? Are there any warning signs for people?
Yeah, there's plenty of warning signs, but the issue around asking for help is a good one because research shows that college students just aren't necessarily comfortable talking about money. And that could be for a variety of factors, depending on who you are. It could be because you didn't have a personal finance course in high school where you might have actually practiced talking about these important topics. It could be because it's not role modeled for you at home, which is very common. And it just could be because, as I said, financial stress, just breeds more stress. And so talking about it, especially without understanding how to solve for it, could just shut people down and not wanting to have a conversation about it.
So I want to talk about what Intuit is doing with schools and with students. And I guess part of that is when you're asking for help, can students do this on their own? Can you educate yourself with resources out there?
Yeah, you can. You have to, of course, first embrace the importance of becoming financially literate, managing your money well. But there's resources, of course, that are out there. There's resources from Intuit for Education. If you go to the activities fair, you'll see a couple of the newer, and hear about some of the newer resources we're going to have, again, all for free, including, we have something called our FinFuture simulation, which will be coming out this summer. And it's really a focus specifically on college students, and in particular on first-year college students, where you go through a gamified simulation where you actually get to practice making a lot of financial decisions you would normally have to make throughout the course of a full school year. And think about it, when you were first year, there's a lot of things you just didn't know that you were going to have to make decisions on. So going through a gamified simulation like that can help you prepare and practice making good decisions. And then another resource that we're going to have available again for free that's coming out is our Intuit for Education mobile app. So this app, which is designed to be used by students in college throughout all years, will help students do some of the real basic financial tasks like creating a budget and helping to set goals and to do planning. And it's done using a done-for-you kind of approach in tech. And so what that means is you don't have to constantly obsess over it or check it. The tech will actually be able to help, with the data that you input, help track and help you be aware by alerting you where you might be running into some issues, and then therefore how you might be able to actually address those, where you might need to go to get some additional help, et cetera. So it's designed to kind of help take the stress away from managing your finances.
This is, it takes a lifetime. You don't just start working on your finances and then get to stop. But if you're one of the people in the audience that's going to be starting, what is the best first step? What is the most important thing to say, I'm going to leave and this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, my guess is there's a number of people in the audience that have already developed some good financial behaviors. Kudos to you. But then there's probably also some of you who are like, well, I need some help in this particular area. What I would say first and foremost, and you've heard it a couple of times already by other speakers here, is you start by creating a budget. So creating a budget is simple. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it, first and foremost, will give you visibility to what the differences are between your wants and your needs. And those are very different, especially depending on how much money you have to spend. So it also gives you visibility to where there could be some issues headed your way financially. And so that allows you, to be able to then know to go take action. The ability to be able to understand your wants and your needs, and then also to be able to predict where there might be an issue, you will find, I'm confident, to actually be very gratifying and help you feel like you're in control and actually reduce your stress. So first and foremost, create a budget. It's simple if you haven't already done it. The second thing I would say is, a decent percentage of college students have credit cards. So, and you've heard credit cards mentioned a couple times today already. If you have a credit card and you don't know the terms of your credit card, you need to understand the terms of your credit card, especially the interest rates, because college students on average carry anywhere from a $1,000 to $2,000 balance on a credit card. And if you're caught in the trap of only paying interest, you'll find it's an exceptionally high interest rate. If you're only paying the minimums, you'll never ever get ahead. So understanding the importance of how to manage a credit card is critical. The third thing I would say is really to make sure you take advantage of the resources you have on campus. You're really fortunate to be at the University of North Carolina. They invest in a lot of programs to help support you. And when you know that you need support and help with some sort of a financial issue, you can take advantage of it. You've got a newer program on campus, your financial wellness program here, which is perfect. So if you're not familiar with it, you should look it up and become familiar with it, because they can, they're one of those types of programs that are going to be there for you when you need it, when you have stress and you're just not really sure what to do and you feel trapped. So.
Well, we feel really fortunate to have gotten to come on campus today, and my takeaway is do the budget because it's actually less stressful in the end. Dave Zasada, thank you so much.